Have you ever come across a really contemporary home with all the bells and whistles and it's cookie cutter and looks like it came right out of a catalog, but for some reason it's like there's something missing? In my opinion, these are the homes that are going to date really badly in the next 15 years. And it's almost like they're going to look like they came out of that 70s show. No offense to that 70s show. But anyway, Malishani Bonse, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. My name is Tembi, and today I'm going to be sharing some recommendations or ideas on how you can mix vintage with modern, tastefully, of course. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So in as much as I mentioned contemporary homes, the same thing applies to time period homes. So homes that are stuck in a certain time period or certain era. There's always something about those homes, in my opinion, that just makes you feel unmotivated and uninspired, like you're just kind of stuck in a certain time. And that is why I'm sharing this video with you. So let's say, for instance, you're the type of person who loves brand new things. There is nothing wrong with loving the modern aesthetic or wanting things that look a lot more contemporary. But what I have found a lot of the times is that those homes really come off cold and they lack personality. And so the easiest recommendation that I have for you is to just incorporate one vintage item. So for instance, if you have a living room or a bedroom or whatever room it may be, and you have tons of modern furniture and overall the house is contemporary or quite modern, then just incorporating something like a vintage rug will make a world of a difference, because it's going to bring in a lot of personality all by itself and really ground that space and make it feel a lot more welcoming. Another thing that you can do instead of adding a rug is maybe you can add vintage lighting in your space. Now, there is vintage lighting that is quite timeless in my opinion and just looks absolutely fantastic. And so if you are able to source really beautiful crystal lighting or anything that is made out of beautiful blown glass, that would look absolutely amazing. So they're really good vintage options, which some of them are going to be cheaper than others, but that will just help to elevate your space a lot more. And I think that that will work really well. You can also go the furniture route as well. So if you happen to gravitate towards modern furniture, there is no harm in you maybe incorporating something that is either postmodern into your space or mid-century modern into your space as well. You can even incorporate something that looks a little bit more Victorian as well. That would just make a statement in a really modern space and just help to personalize it a little bit more and help it feel a little bit more customized, in my opinion. So those are some options for you. And then if you're too scared to try the bigger things, you can always incorporate vintage figurines into your space. So little vintage bits and bobs, like a vase for instance, or vintage painting or a tapestry would look really beautiful. Or you could go for a vintage lamp. I think that will be absolutely fantastic, and you are good to go. So the same thing goes with homes that are on the opposite end. Now, I'm not going to encourage that you keep Tuscan type of home, because I know just how crazy that can look. If you need to renovate that, you have my blessing, because some of these homes were built to just stay in the 90s or the 80s or whenever they were built. But if we're looking at something, let's say, that has more of Victorian lines, or it came out of the Renaissance era, something that has tons of character, maybe it has beautiful crown molding, or it has beautiful baseboards or board and batten, then that is different. So in spaces like that, I really like what the French do. They usually work with juxtapositions. If you have been able to see a lot of French aesthetics, you're going to find that if the space itself, in which most of their buildings are quite old, they will incorporate some contemporary pieces in their spaces. So be it contemporary furniture or contemporary decor, they will mix in some contemporary art, and that just makes it look really fantastic and well balanced. And I think that that is another way that you can work with vintage and modern and make your spaces feel a lot more eclectic and timeless, in my opinion. I don't think that you can go wrong when you try a little bit of eclecticism. And of course, I am biased, but that's okay. That is okay. Another way that you can go about it is by following the 50-40 rule. Now, the reason I'm calling it 50-40 is because you're not going to just have 50-50 when it comes to the build of the space. Your space is either going to be mostly contemporary or it's going to be mostly vintage. And so, for instance, if your house is contemporary, instead of just adding 1 or 2 vintage pieces, you can really go all out on incorporating vintage in order to help to give it some character and to help personalize it and customize it as well. I think that that will help to even break up the straight lines, the sharpness and brutalist type of design, in my opinion. I think it just helps to soften it up a little bit. So that is something that you can incorporate. And because I said 40, so most likely the vintage pieces, like the furniture, the larger pieces of furniture, can be vintage, and then you can incorporate some modern, smaller modern pieces like lamps or books or artwork or vases and the like decor pieces. So the same thing goes with an older space. So in as much as this is quite similar to what the Parisians do, it's slightly different because you're going to be going more on the contemporary side and not necessarily incorporating too much vintage in your spaces. So we're going to go with tons of modern furniture pieces, and then you can incorporate some vintage art or some vintage decor, or you can incorporate some vintage lighting, and you're good to go. And if I'm being honest, these are the basics that you need to know in order to be able to mix vintage and modern pieces tastefully. And that is that. So thank you so much for hanging out with me in today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And of course, welcome to all of our new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining this community. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.